"Oh, please, she's just here for the attention," one of the soldiers scoffed, nudging the guy next to him. "Bet she spills out of that shirt before she hits a single target." Snickers followed, sharp and stinging. Lena Carter heard every word. She always did. The glances weren't about her skill, never had been. They saw the curve of her body before they saw the steel in her eyes. The tight uniform clung to her figure in a way that made men forget they were soldiers and act like drunk teenagers. Eyes drifted to her chest before they ever met her face. And still, she didn't blink. She knelt, hands wrapped around the cold metal of a .50 caliber sniper rifle like it was part of her body. The desert heat shimmered across the sand. 200 men stood watching. All of them had doubted her, mocked her, called her a distraction, like her presence was an inconvenience, like her body was louder than her weapon ever could be. The commander, trying not to grin, announced the challenge. 10 steel targets at long range, 1 shot each. No woman had ever attempted it. Lena didn't speak. She didn't roll her eyes or respond to the lewd whispers about how her assets were better suited for a photo shoot than a battlefield. She just took position, slow and silent, her blonde hair tucked behind her ear, her chest rising and falling calmly with every measured breath. The first shot cracked across the sky like thunder. Target 1, obliterated. Silence. Target 2, 3, 4. Her finger moved like poetry, precise and practiced. By target 5, the laughter had vanished. Their smirks turned to clenched jaws. Even the ones who made jokes about her bouncing more than the bullets were now standing still, their eyes locked on her, not in lust, but in awe. She wasn't trying to impress. She was rewriting their definition of what power looked like. Then the wind came. Hard, just before target 7. The kind of gust that makes even the best shooters second-guess themselves. She paused, eyes narrowed. She adjusted, not the scope, but her breathing. A soft exhale. She fired. The bullet sliced the air, hitting dead center. The target spun and dropped. A few soldiers muttered curses under their breath. She had done what they couldn't on their best day. 8, 9, 10. All perfect. Less than 2 minutes, not a single miss. Lena stood, dusted off her knees, adjusted her uniform, not to cover herself but to mark the moment. She didn't strut, she didn't smile, she just walked past the stunned crowd, the sun catching the sweat on her collarbone, the same chest they mocked now rising with the breath of victory. The commander walked toward her, speechless. That's a base record," he finally said. She didn't break her stride. "I know," she replied, and kept walking. But what they didn't know, what they never cared to ask, was how much it had cost her to walk that path, how every glance at her chest in training had made her feel smaller, how every nice rack joke echoed longer than any gunshot, how she trained harder, shot longer, studied deeper, not to prove she was better than them, but just to be seen as equal. She wasn't just fighting for a record, she was fighting for space to exist without being reduced to her body. She remembered the girl who cried in the mirror on the first day of boot camp after overhearing a captain say she was just eye candy. That same girl chose silence. She didn't report it. She didn't run. She stayed, trained, outshot every man in her class, because she believed that actions could silence louder than screams. Now those same men who ogled her now stood in line to shake her hand. The same guys who joked she was better suited for Instagram now whispered her name like legend. Lena Carter, they'd say. The sniper who didn't just break the record, she broke us. And it wasn't just about bullets, it was about breaking bias. For every woman told to smile more, dress down, blend in. Lena made it clear she wasn't going to hide who she was. She wasn't going to shrink herself to make others comfortable. She wasn't going to choose between beauty and brilliance. She could be both, and she could dominate. Her name went up on the range wall, first woman ever. Not because of her body, but in spite of how often it had been used to define her. Not for her looks, but for the look on every soldier's face the moment they realized they were watching greatness. So don't judge a warrior by the shape of her body. Strength doesn't come from looking like a soldier. It comes from being one when everyone says you can't. And sometimes the ones you mock for how they look are the ones who show you how it's done. Before we end this story, let us know in the comment, where are you watching from? If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button and drop a karma in the comments below.